in a really close game, a game that Lafayette probably thinks they should have won. And when you look back on it now, that means that, say Lafayette plays in it. Well, the last 3 years we've gotten beat by a team that's played in or won the state championship. We went to the Final Four 3 years ago. It was Soldan who won the state championship. 2 years ago, we got beat in the semifinals in a heartbreaker to Republic, who won the state title. Then last year, St. Joe Lafayette plays in it. So I don't know if teams want to play us at that point of the year so they could say that maybe they're going to the state championship, but hopefully over time it's us that get there. So we finished 17-11 and, played in 8 of our 11 games were one possession or overtime games that we lost. So there's a lot of things that we need to clean up and pay attention to detail-wise to make sure that those close games don't turn into losses this year, overtime games this year. We got to correct our mistakes, and that's on me to get figured out and get fixed. And so we're doing some things just a little different, but make sure that in these situations we can flip those close ones to hopefully work to our advantage. But I'm excited about the seniors that we have this year. Guys who, Brian Sharp has been a 4-year guy for us. He played for us as a freshman. Matt Richards and Cale Hansen played significant minutes last year. Luke Jackson and Zach Thompson have done an unbelievable job of just working their way up through the program, and both will be contributors this year on our team. And those 5 guys are they're pretty neat kids too. They've got a good makeup. They kind of, Brian, like I said, Brian's been with us for 4 years, but those other guys have been in the program. They've been in the program for 4 years, so they've had success at different levels. They've got to experience different things. They know the expectations. So I'm going to rely on those 5 guys quite a bit this year with our staff as well, who have been working really hard to get these guys ready. Changing conferences, which means, some different matchups for us. We had formed some pretty good rivalries in our conference, in the small conference that we were in. Changing conferences now means, a little bit of a different flavor. Fort Osage and William Chrisman are in our conference. Raytown is in our conference this year. Staley, Oak Park, us, and that, and North Kansas City. That gives us the 7-team conference this year. And I think that the conference that we're in is as balanced as anybody. Raytown's going to be as good as anybody in our city, but then everybody else is going to be solid. So our conference will give us a test, and then obviously our district will be fun for some folks to speculate about for a long point, but be us, Liberty, Fort Osage, North Kansas City, and Winnetonka are the 5 in our district that would be hosted at North Kansas City this year. So, that's kind of big picture wise as we go into. That's the, as you're stepping back and thinking about where we were and where we're going. This is kind of those are kind of the things that we've got to look forward to. But we're excited about our year. We're excited about the challenges that are in front of us, and this group has been really fun to be around. It hasn't been a ton of work yet. It's been a lot of fun because they've picked up on a lot of things. We're further ahead than any team's ever been, except for our second Final Four team. They're further ahead as far as picking up concepts, carrying over things, and that's something that hopefully will work to our advantage, because then we can spend more time developing our players, because you've got better players, then you got a better team. So we're excited. And Friday Night Madness, I guess the last thing I should mention for questions is Friday Night Madness will be this Friday, the 21st, and have a night where, the weather certainly feels like basketball season, so now you can come and watch some. And our 8th grade through our varsity will be scrimmaging each other along with the girls, different things that our sports marketing team's doing to make it a pretty cool night. So that's this Friday. Doors will open at 6:45 and we'll start it at 7, and get your first look at maybe what we got this year. So with that, open it up to questions.
Coach, how are you preparing the team for those close games?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing, and I think it's a really good question, because when you look at our close games that we lost last year, we lost them in a variety of ways. We lost them because we didn't execute late. We lost them because we, just made poor decisions. We lost them maybe because we ran out of steam, ran out of gas a little bit. We had a couple that were bad luck, bad breaks, but when you step back and look at it, I think to answer your question, you got to pay attention to our details. If you go back through and you just simply average our 8 of the 11 losses last year were by 3.1 points, if you average it. So in essence, if you can shave off 1 possession where you're not making an error, 2 possessions for sure, you can flip those games. And so when you get into a game, you're playing and you're going up and down, and there's 55, 60, 65 possessions in a game, sometimes 70. And are you paying enough attention on every possession offensively and defensively to feel like that's got a full magnitude on the game? Whereas I think sometimes last year it was kind of, well, this is a possession, we took a bad shot, or we didn't check out on defense, and okay, we'll get it next possession. Whereas that possession is so important for us because we've got a talented team, but so do the other teams we play, and we can't simply rely on talent. So spending time on our details is going to be the biggest thing that we've got to do to really sharpen up some things. Then if we can't do it, then I'll look schematically at some things, but I think it's just more of making sure that we're really locked in every possession. Okay.
What are some of the things you're focusing on this year going into the season?
Well, the things that we've always focused on are the things that we'll continue to focus on. The ability to win games comes down to if you can defend people and if you can rebound the ball. And that's something that we've always said since we've been here. So how good we are defensively will dictate how good we are as a team, period. Because if you can't guard people and get stops, you can't win. You just simply can't, because you get going in the games and in the season, and all you want to do is score more points. You want to figure out, well, we lost 64-60, so if we would have scored 65 points, we could have won. Well, sure. Or you just don't allow them to score more than 60. And that's the easier way for me to fix it. I'm not very smart, so I just know don't let the other team score, and then we'll figure out how we can score down the road. So the ability to really defend and be solid defensively, but when you're doing that, you got to be physical. You got to be a tough team defensively, but that doesn't mean committing fouls, and it doesn't mean making stupid plays. And last year's team, at times, we would get into situations where we would get physical with teams, and then we're so physical and we're so going at it that we miss a box out, and then that's the one possession we were talking about. Or you commit a silly foul in midway through the second quarter. You don't think it's much, but then you put the other team in the penalty earlier, and they're shooting free throws, and those are the easiest points in the game. So we've got to be a really good defensive team that's physical but smart in the way we play physically. And then rebound-wise, you know this, but our 2 rules are, you rebound the ball, and if you don't rebound the ball, then the guy who you're checking out doesn't rebound the ball, and then we'll figure out whoever gets it. But you get it or your guy doesn't is what it comes down to. And if those 2 things we can do, then we can figure out the offense. And then the offense, a lot of times, more often than not, especially in high school ball, comes down to how good your players are. And I feel like we got some pretty good players. So can some guys get it in the bucket and score so that we can really, if we're good defensively and we're good rebounding-wise, then our ability to score will hopefully just make us look a little bit better, and we won't have to grind through as many games. We won a game last year. I think the score's like 34-29 or something. That's just ridiculous. You shouldn't score 34 points and win a game, but that's the way we had to win early in the year. I'd like to play a little quicker, but so defensively and rebounding, if we can do those things, and then we'll sharpen everything up offensively.
Looking at returning players and new players, who do you think is going to play a big role in helping the program this year?
Well, I mentioned our 5 seniors, because those 5 guys all have different things that they're going to need to do this year to elevate our game and our team. And Brian's been a 4-year contributor, and when we were at our Final Four 2 years ago, he was, as a sophomore, he was as key part of that team as we had. And after we lost the semi, he came off and had just a heck of a game in the 3rd place game. It was terrific. Cale Hansen and Matt Richards are 2 guys who I'm going to count on them quite a bit because they've played. They've been out there, they've seen it, they know what it takes. They're dedicated kids, they love the game, and they spent a lot of time this spring and this summer getting better and in the fall. And I want to see that pay off for them. And so I need them to lead us because they know what it takes, but then I also need them to be really solid. With players, you kind of get this ebb and flow. I need theirs to be a little not as rocky. I need it to be more consistent, and I think it will be. I think it will be with those guys. Luke Jackson's going to step up and have a huge role for us because when you lose Brinkley and then you lose Ian and Ryan, you've got guys that in essence are playing kind of the position, 3 guys playing a position that now are gone, and so we need somebody to step up, and Luke's done that and been good. And then Zach Thompson's a kid who, especially with Brian out early, I don't know where we're going to look minutes-wise at our point guard position, so Zach's got to be ready to go. And Zach brings a ton of intangible things to us, and it's just a kid who our guys respect, our coaches respect, and those 5 guys together kind of give you your perfect mix of seniors as far as I'm concerned. Then when you start looking at other guys contributing, you got a lot of guys and a lot of players who are fighting for some spots. And that's the advantage that maybe we didn't have last year where we were developing throughout the year, whereas this year we will develop throughout the year, but we've got more depth. So practice, J.D. Braden is going to want the minutes that Zach Thompson or Brian Sharp or those guys are getting after. Michael Wansing wants Cale Hansen and Matt Richards minutes. Michael Hughes doesn't want to get taken off the floor, but that means that Joe Barry and Luke Jackson and those guys got to play more. And then you throw in Don Fragola, a sophomore who played a little bit as varsity last year, got a taste of some things. And so where's he going to fit in it? Because he's got an enormous amount of skill. Garrett Burns is a kid who's put some time. You start going through it, and I know who I'd start today, who my 5 guys would be I'd start, but then I don't know how much playing time they'd get, and then I don't know who I'd bring off the bench and in what order. But as a coach, that's a really good problem to have because the problem I'm describing is good players fighting for spots, and that's it's a lot better than just trying to figure out how you can get guys minutes in a sense of keeping the game close. I think with these guys, we can be pretty good in addition to the fact that I know our practices will be better, which is really exciting for me.
I think this program has been so successful over the years.
Why has the program been successful? The players, you go through, Jack, and you start looking at some of the guys we've had. I mean, you talk about some of the coolest kids, some of the neatest kids, some of the guys who've accomplished the most, not only with our team, but maybe with the school since we've opened. First year, we don't have a senior class. And then the next year, you've got 2 guys who were so different in personality, and Garrett Lowe and Tanner Pruitt, but they had a lot of things in common with our basketball team, and it was they loved to play. They loved to be around the game. They loved their teammates. And that helped kind of get us to the point where then that group of 9 seniors that we had 2 years ago, it was their program for, in essence, 3 years. From the time they were sophomores and we went 8-19 to the time they're juniors, we go to the Final Four, go 24-7 to the time we feel like we should win the state title. They were running the program. They knew what it took. And that residue and that toughness and that mindset and that maturity that group had, I've never seen it in high school athletics, 14, 15 years. I've never seen it. But that group had it, and that is still in our team. There's still different parts where if Jake Hansen came and watched us play, he'd still see a lot of the same stuff. If Zach Starr came back, he'd see a lot of things. Zach Urnell, Trevor Shepard, all those guys, they're what makes it successful. And then you fast forward to the year after they were there and last year for us, and you got those 3 guys who, Brinkley was a 4-year starter. So, I mean, he quite literally was here from the time the program opened until the end of last season. So it's different not having him around. Ryan was an unbelievable kid to have on our team, got better and better and contributed. And then Ian played many, many roles from the time we went to our first Final Four to the time his year ended. So you look at all those guys, they're so unique in personality, but they had one thing in common, and it was that they wanted to do what was best for our program. They wanted to do what was best for our team. And so as a coach, that gives you quite a luxury. That gives you something that's really exciting because you know those guys are the right guys to build with. Those guys can win games for you. But it's not just about winning those games because it's how you go about getting there. And those guys went about it the right way, which then has translated to hopefully some stability. But, you know, success isn't something that just happens, and it's not something that, you know, we're guaranteed this year because we have in the past. So, you know, it's something that we're mindful of and we want to be successful, clearly. But we know that there's an enormous amount of work and quite a few breaks you got to catch to be good. And hopefully we can do that this year. But, you know, it's about the players. Always has been and always will be. Yeah.
Football season ended earlier this year. Do you think that's going to help you guys having football players come back with less fatigue?
It's really observant. That's a really good point. Yes, it will help us. Our football team obviously had an unbelievable season again, and we're rooting for them. We want them to keep going, you know, as much as they can. With them dropping to Park Hill, what that allowed us is, in essence, it allowed us almost an additional week and a half, 2 weeks. And that time, I was talking about how we're ahead of stuff. That's helped us get ahead because we haven't had to cram so much stuff in. We didn't have as many guys playing as we did last year. And that's something that, you know, we want our guys involved. We want our guys doing that. But the more you're around it, it's just like anything, your habits build, you get more comfortable. And I think that being on the court, you know, in our practice jerseys will help us with that. So that is a fatigue. You asked about fatigue. That's the biggest thing. It's hopefully we can get our concepts and stuff going, but the biggest thing is make sure that we're fresh and that we've got good energy about us because we play our first week, we play Friday, then we play Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So right away we're going to play 5 games in, oh shoot, I don't know, what is that, 10 days? And so we better be fresh because it's going to come really quick. But that is something that physically I think will make a little bit of a difference. Wrap it up. Like I said, you know, I invite you guys, everyone, to come out Friday night for the Friday Night Madness event that we're going to have here. You know, more basketball's on TV, so you're getting a little bit of a taste of it. The weather's kind of tells you it's basketball season, and around this place, it's been pretty special to have basketball seasons here at North and get a look at the guys, all the work they've been putting in for it. And then, you know, we'll talk before we go on break for Thanksgiving, and we'll kind of preview our first part of the season in our schedule. But appreciate y'all being here, and look forward to seeing you on Friday night and throughout the rest of the season, okay? Thanks, guys.
Where the muffins go, they go along to take your honey. Way down how we build our breakfast down the